Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. I forgot to do the Bruce last night. Just didn't feel right.
Well, we managed to muddle through.
We did, Bruce. We soldiered on. It's like having the first goal go in off your take a weird bounce and go in the net. But
and the second shot 2 nights in a row.
We fought through. All right, Bruce, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, David. I enjoyed that game. It was a pretty strong effort for the second of a back-to-back.
Yeah,
I think Edmonton did have the rest advantage. So I mentioned last night at the end of the podcast that for Edmonton it was 2 and 2 days, but for Colorado it was 3 and 4 days with travel. And they were maybe down a court, and then they were also missing, I think, more players. So Edmonton's hardly at a full roster right now. So
yeah, we're missing 3 key players. That maybe arguably 3 of the 4 top wingers on the team are out right now.
So about natural wingers, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Nuge is in his own, like he's a winger, but he's not really a winger.
Yeah,
like he's a center. They're paying him to be a center.
When we list our grade A shots, I separate the centers and the wingers. Mm-hmm. Because I think it's only fair to compare the centers, because the centers have way more defensive responsibility than the wingers. So, but with Nuge, I don't know where to put him.
Yeah,
and sometimes Draisaitl's the same, but this year he's been primarily a center. So
usually when Nuge plays wing, Draisaitl plays center, and then when Leon gets moved up to McDavid's line, it's almost invariably Nuge that gets moved into Leon's spot at center. So they are doppelgangers for each other. And this year it's been probably 70-30, Leon playing center on his own line, 75-25, certainly a significant majority.
Yeah,
of
even
the time.
More,
there was a few games, maybe 5 games where the two of them played together, maybe 6 games. So
there was that streak.
But and they get their shifts. But this was a game, and I'm going to talk more about this later, but where they weren't sort of predominant factors in an Edmonton victory. So
no, they weren't. Well, I thought Draisaitl had a great game personally.
Mm-hmm. Like I just thought, but it was a team win.
It really was. I thought Leon's puck protection and passing tonight was absolutely superb. Man, he just wears players on his back. He carries them around the ice and still makes plays. He is tremendous at that. It's funny. My wife and I were talking about the skills competition earlier, like trying to figure out who's a better skills player, McDavid or Makar. And of course, McDavid beat Makar in the skills competition, but McDavid did design the competition. He did design all the drills.
Obviously,
I understand.
Cheated.
So, well, it's not cheating, but it is a major advantage. I think it's fair to say. Mm-hmm. And they're just both sublimely skilled hockey players. They're my 2 favorite players, Makar and McDavid.
Makar,
yeah. And but
Draisaitl did McKinnon. I'm okay with it.
Draisaitl did so poorly in that skills competition. It was like he was in a different league in terms of skills compared to some of the other guys, especially those 2. But in the game itself, because the game isn't a skills competition, it's unless if you include puck protection, right? Mm-hmm. So he's big enough and strong enough to be able to make passes that other players can't make, because he can hold off players that other players just simply can't, and he's constantly doing it, and he was doing it tonight. Anyway, that was almost like an extra good thing I threw in there. Bruce, this is our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast. What is your good thing?
Yeah, a big shout out for Edmonton's goaltender, Stu Skinner, tonight. I thought he had an outstanding game to backstop the win. It was a team win, like I say, but he's a big part of the team. Your goalie, nothing that we've seen from time to time, nothing can puncture a team quicker than a bad goal at an inopportune time. And whilst the many critics of Skinner were out in force when Colorado slammed home a one-timer on a cross-seam pass on a power play, on a pick play, to open the scoring, and immediately
we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm just the Skinner aspect.
Yeah.
Stu is slow getting across the across the crease. Make the fax machine noise as well, Stu. Stu just absolutely slammed the door the entire rest of the way. 26 more shots, no goals. And he made a number of fine saves, not least off of Nathan McKinnon, who fired 7 shots on him. And some real doozies. Man, the glove grab, this is the one I'm sort of mind boggled by. McKinnon had the puck in the high slot, and there was this forest of bodies between him and the net. And McKinnon made a great shot through this little puck-sized funnel between his stick and the top corner. And I don't know how the hell Skinner saw anything, but out snakes the glove and he pulls it down. I don't think we scored it as a 5-alarm, and I don't think we can because it was from outside. But man, that was a wicked save, just outstanding at a very important time of the game. And he just kept walling off the net. And we didn't have Colorado with a huge number of 5-alarm chances. Edmonton did a good job of sealing off the most dangerous of the dangerous. But the Avs can move the puck around pretty good, you may have noticed, and they did create some good looks and some screens and a few picks, and they were creating their space and getting some chances, and the Edmonton goalie just had the answer to everything. And I thought he was cool, calm, and collected, and he collected the win tonight. And strong performance, 1 goal against. I think just the second time all year, maybe the third that he's held a team below 2. And this was the good Stu that we saw tonight, and hopefully we'll see the good Stu for a while now, because it looks like he's getting it together.
Yeah, the Oilers did a rare thing tonight, Bruce. They held off a team in the third period without giving up a goal. Like, they protected their lead in the third, and this has been a major sore point, which you and I both were talking about online together, heading into the third. I mean, every Oilers fan's aware of this, obviously, but and there were a few breakdowns. Lehkonen had a couple chances right at the side of the net early in the third. And McCarr put a very sneaky shot through a screen. And then, of course, there was the blistering McKinnon one-timer later in the game. But he was, it's kind of interesting. Excuse me, interesting without the 5-alarm shots. So few of them. So the grade A shots in this game were 13-12 for the Oilers, with the subset of 5-alarm shots 5-2 for the Oilers. So the Oilers really did have the flow of play going their way. But Skinner is best when he's on that first, like when the puck's moving around the Oilers zone, and he's good at just blocking that first shot in kind of in zone play. That's his real strength. He's excellent at that. He struggles on rush plays, especially when there's a pass, cross seam pass on the rush like there was on the goal. And that's not his strength. So I can see, people knock him for that. That was a really tough shot. But if the Oilers limit that, you can give up grade A shots with Stu and net if they're kind of from right in front of him on the cycle. He seems to be pretty good at that. So this was his kind of game, with the team doing its job defensively. They blocked a lot of shots, lots of key blocks, lots of key stops in the slot. Pucks cleared quickly from the slot. So he was helped considerably by his team. I gave him a grade of 8. I gave 3 players grade of 8s in this game. I gave Stecher, Draisaitl, and Skinner 8s. I thought they were the 3 best Oilers in this one. So I agree with you, Bruce. He was a big part of the game. My good thing is Troy Stecher. Man, I've really been impressed with him in the last couple games.
Yeah,
he's really starting to skate well. And, we know he's coming off surgery this summer, which was slow healing. And there had been a setback. He had a cyst that had some infected cyst or something like that.
Third game in
ankle.
Cyst. Yes.
Not a cyst,
cyst,
but a cyst in his foot this summer. And
a cyst.
So I think he's coming. I think he's coming back into health here. I think that's what we're seeing, because this is the Troy Stecher I kind of remembered. Was a damn good player, actually. So he has bounced around the NHL a bit. He's small, and that doesn't help in terms of making an NHL career. But man, he's playing well. And he in the first period he cleared a rebound shot right from the crease really quickly, which was a good play. He kind of dangled with the puck and sent Draisaitl off for a grade A shot. He made key passes on a number of grade A shot sequences before he picked up a rebound, slammed the shot on net, and then later in the same shift, he walked the line, fired the puck on net, and Podkolzin with a brilliant tip goal, brilliant screen and tip shot. It was the Oilers scored 2 Californians tonight, Bruce, which are outside shots that get tipped in or go in somewhere. And you score 2 Californians in a game, you're probably going to win because those are backbreaker goals. The other teams, they just hate it giving up that kind of goal. And there's some amount of luck to it, but there's no amount of luck to Troy Stecher walking the line like that very cleverly and throwing that puck, getting that puck through the player up top, putting it right on net, and Podkolzin's great skill and positioning and tipping that in. Podkolzin's 3rd goal in 3 games. So he didn't play. I think he played about 14 minutes. He didn't play a ton. But when he was out there, Bruce, well, he made major contributions to 4 grade A shots, and he kept a clean sheet at even strength, which is not one major mistake on a grade A shot against. There was Kulak also kept a clean sheet in this game, and that was it. Those 2 guys. So for the defenseman. So we might have it's interesting, like the bottom pairing in a way is turning out to be 2 right shot guys, Stecher and Emerson, which isn't ideal, because then you have 2 left shot guys on the second pairing in Kulak. But they're kind of mixing it up. Like you've talked before about the unique kind of way they're playing these players together. But the defense is kind of coming around, Bruce. And I know Bob Stauffer has been talking about this one rumor of the Oilers' big trade is going to be for a top 4 defenseman who's probably a left shot but can play the right side as well, and has maybe a year or 2 left on his contract. And I kind of narrowed it down. I was thinking Rasmus Ristolainen or Ben Sherratt was another name that came to mind. And then there's Nick Jensen in Ottawa. So those 3 guys were the closest I could see to what Bob was talking about from a team that's kind of in just on the cusp of the playoffs. Anyway, my point in all this is with Stecher playing so well, with Kulak and Nurse, Darnell Nurse is really playing well. It's been a long series. It's been a month now that he's played well, and in part of that month where he was injured. But I'm not so sure they're going to have to trade for a defenseman. That's going to be the top priority. We'll see what it is. Like if Stu Skinner can turn it around, it's not going to be then a goalie either. But so we'll see. Yeah, I'm not so sure that they'll need a defenseman. I think they will, but it might be a bottom pairing guy. Might not be that expensive top 4 defenseman who might not even be available. Like there wasn't really that many last year, top 4 D-men who moved at the deadline. So there was Tanev, and that was about it. So
tonight Stecher played 10-25 with Nurse.
Yeah.
And the Oilers had about 60% shot share by whatever metric that you have, 63% expected goals. He played only 1 minute with Emberson, 1 minute and 16 seconds.
Yeah.
And whereas now Emberson, he did mostly with Kulak as usual. Again, 10 minutes with Kulak, and not a lot of time with other D-men. Mind you, there was a lot of special teams time in this game, so all these 5-on-5 numbers will be down a little bit. And Oilers got badly outshot with Kulak and
Stecher
and Emerson again, 4-15 in shot attempts when they were out there. That's 2 nights in a row. Not quite. Last night it was they got caved.
Not a lot of grade A shots though.
Yeah, no, it was mostly to the outside.
Yeah.
And 4-15 in shot attempts was 3-7 in actual shots, but still, not great. And so that's what Kulak and Nurse did with the third pairing guys, and with each other, they only played 3.5 minutes. at 5-on-5. And again, they would have spent some time together on the penalty kill, Kulak and Nurse. So it was a little different mix, but still it was the coaches seem to be doing with the sort of four pairing thing, and it's largely been working. It sort of takes some of the stress off of the number 5 and number 6 guys, which is clearly Stecher and Emerson, I would say, in that order. And Travis Dermott is number 7 and seemingly locked into the press box. Like he's sort of their last resort player.
It's kind of reassuring that like you can't like I know people sometimes we start to go on and debate at great length who should be their sixth defenseman on the team. But the truth is you can't have a weak sixth defenseman on the team. And I don't know why people ever make the argument that the 12th forward and the sixth defenseman aren't important. They are crucial to winning because if they make a mistake, it can end up easily in the back of the net. And if you have those players in those positions who are weak compared to the opposition players in those same positions, it's a huge advantage for the other team. So it's reassuring to me that they have two players in Emerson and Stecher who have come through for the Oilers and look like they can be solid bottom pairing defensemen to me. Unlike, unfortunately, I can't say the same thing with it's Travis Dermott. Yeah, I can't say the same thing. There's Travis,
Troy, and Travis.
Troy and Travis. Okay, so Travis Dermott has struggled so far. He has not got it done really as a two-way player in the NHL this year. Maybe that'll change, but it's good that two of the three are looking that way. They're looking like they can function as NHLers, and that's huge for the Oilers. What's your bad thing?
David, you go first. You kind of stole the one I had in mind, so you go first. And I'll pile on there, and I'll desperately try to think. There wasn't a lot of bad about this game, and we both found the bad thing.
You should have told me, Bruce. I might have picked a different one. Okay,
all right. Go for it.
My bad thing, and if I could think of another one, but I can't. So, it was funny. I was expecting it to be mentioned on the broadcast, and I don't believe it was. But on Colorado's goal, it's a power play, and they're breaking up the ice, and Connor Brown's forechecking, and he comes back through the center of the ice, and Ivan skates right, like obviously skates right over. There's no reason for him to move across the blue line to intercept Brown's coming back to back check, and it's totally interference. It's a total illegal pick play, and it picks Connor Brown off, and all of a sudden the middle of the ice opens up because first there's a pick play of Ivan on Connor Brown, then there's another slightly less egregious pick play on
Gerard
Kulak,
dropped the puck off and he ran into Kulak and he pushed him back, but that's at least that's hockey. You're coming at the guy with the puck, you drop it off and you just keep skating.
That was hockey. What Ivan did,
he just skated, said, who can I knock down? Oh, that guy. Boom.
That was total BS. It was a dangerous play by Ivan because Brown's he doesn't have the puck. Yeah. He's not expecting someone to go and get in his way and hit him. Anyway, it opened up the ice, and they took advantage of it, made a cross-team pass, and scored. It should not have counted the goal. They should have had the arm should have been in the air, and I don't know why it wasn't. But it wasn't. Louis and Jack Michaels, Louis DeBrusque, Jack Michaels didn't mention it. Neither did the panel between periods, and I thought for sure that it would get mentioned, but it wasn't. So maybe you and I are wrong, Bruce. But I just thought that was an egregious non-call. Like, how could you miss that?
Right on. Okay, well, my bad thing, and you can read between the lines, the striped lines, that's who I'm not happy with, but several of the penalties that Edmonton took in the offensive zone and when the Oilers themselves had the puck, and at the end of the night, it was 5 power plays to 2 for Colorado. If I had to pick one out as being a bad thing, it's Corey Perry for hooking literally against the far end boards. I think this actually was a hook, and the ref happened to see it and call it. which was not necessarily a given for much of the game. And that was and they just scored to go ahead 2-1. Like the 2-1 goal was at 13:48. And then Perry took a penalty at 14:14, like next shift, and they're shorthanded again. And now, Colorado has every chance to tie it up 2-2. So I will, with tongue slightly in cheek, say Corey Perry taking that penalty is my bad thing. And the lack of even up calls in this game is sort of my other bad thing because they didn't happen.
Yeah, it was a little bit off, the refereeing.
Edmonton's
As you
one
said,
of the
though,
cleanest
Bruce,
team in the league, but you play Colorado, you can expect 5 power plays because that's what they get.
the Oilers really benefited from the refereeing last
They
game
did,
against
and I
Salt
said
Lake,
so. I
and
said
you
so in my
did
grade.
note that. So that was so we can not
So
be.
now I can pitch to my heart's content.
Well, I was just
And it's
like,
not
what
sort of
is?
loser lament because Edmonton won this game, but I didn't think it was that evenly officiated either. Last night it helped them win, and tonight they won despite.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that pick play called before.
Yeah. Hyman, he gets nailed he just stops at the blue line. Some guy skates into him and they call him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I didn't like that. And you didn't like the refereeing either.
I have few bad things to say about any of the Oilers, really, but that was a bad penalty by Perry. So given the lack of alternatives, I'll officially choose that.
There wasn't a lot of bad from the Oilers.
Nope.
Do you got a number?
Yeah, I do. Number is 1. That's number of points scored by Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl in this 4-1 Edmonton win on the road. And it's such a change, David. In the previous 6 wins, the combination of McDavid and Draisaitl scored 5, 6, 4, 6, 5, and 4 points, an average of 5 points a game for the last 6 wins. When they score, Edmonton wins, right? This is it. But when they don't score, Edmonton usually doesn't win. And tonight they won. And in fact, on the season now, this was the 13th win. And McDavid missed 2 of the wins, and Draisaitl scored 3 points in each of those. And in the other ones, they've had, it was 9 in a row before tonight where they had at least 3 points in all the wins. And the 2 of those games, there was only one of the 2 that was playing, Draisaitl. And so tonight, McDavid makes this fantastic, incredible, great pass on the 1-1 goal to Kasperi Kapanen, who pounded home his first as an Oiler. And great on McDavid. Draisaitl had an excellent game at no points. But the thing is, they got secondary scoring. They got a goal from Kasperi Kapanen. That's wonderful. They got another goal from Vasily Podkolzin, 3rd game in a row. After 2 years without scoring a goal. He scored, last Saturday, last night,
games.
and tonight. 3 good goals, 2 good shots, and then a great deflection right from the slot tonight. And these are guys that, they weren't even on the team when it was sort of reimagined on July 1st. They came in August in a trade, Podkolzin, and on waivers last week in the form of Kasperi Kapanen. He had, I thought, a really good game tonight. Not just that goal. He had a lot going on. He's a terrier on the boards, seems to me. And made some good plays, sort of cycling and passing the puck. And not sort of a lot of brain cramps, nothing where you could sort of looking at the guy and saying, can see why his old team got rid of him. Like often you get a guy in the waiver wire. Well, I haven't really seen anything like that. And, maybe he's just sort of saying, well, this might be my last chance. And I'm playing on McDavid's line. I got to bring it. And he's been bringing it. So we'll see how long it lasts, but good on him.
Are you suggesting that Kasperi Kapanen has filled the gaping void in the lineup left by Raphael Lavoie's departure?
I think he's more than done that. At the moment, he's filling the gaping hole in the lineup left by Zach Hyman's absence, you know. And he got
I
a
wouldn't
goal
go that
tonight.
far, but yeah, he did get a
Well, he
goal.
got a goal tonight. I mean, Pod Colson scored 3 in 3 games, and Hyman's got 3 all year. Maybe he's doing that job. Anyway, they're getting this from the depth, and then Kulak scored on an outside shot through a great screen, and it wasn't, again, not the boys that were generating the play, because on the ice, Janmark, Henrique, Kulak, who scored, Emerson, who assisted, Skinner, who assisted Jeff Skinner. You know, like this is their third line and third pairing, and just by some good solid ozone grinding and cycling and screening and shooting, boom, 3-1, and that changed everything after that. It was
Sure
seemed
did.
like Edmonton was in pretty firm control at 3-1. At 2-1, I was thinking, what could possibly go wrong? Edmonton leading 2-1 in the third. So everything.
Everything, everywhere, all at
Yeah.
once.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bruce, I will say this about Draisaitl on the. I was surprised to see he didn't like that. That was news to me that he didn't get a point. He made a great pass, cross seam
Third
pass
assist to
on
Brown.
the to Brown, who then put it back to Stecher on Pud Colson's goal,
When Bob
and
Colson
he had
tipped
been
it.
Leon had been dominating the puck in the ozone on that
Hmm.
shift earlier.
Yeah.
Like he was just fantastic. So, you know, he
Yeah.
was a significant player on one
The
goal.
honorary third assist, I'm sure you graded him as
I
a
did.
contributor. It was like a
Yeah.
four-way passing play, and he was just
Yeah.
the guy outside the cut line for points.
And I actually didn't, you may
Yeah.
disagree, but I didn't credit Brown because it was just a road pass to back to the point. But Stecher and Podkolzin and Draisaitl were I thought the major makers of that goal. Bruce, my number is 13. That's the shot attempts from Nathan McKinnon. And 7 on net, 2 blocked, 4 missed shots. The next highest Av was Cale Makar with 7. So he was a one-man show. He and Makar, there was like a two-man show this game for the Avs. Makar had some dangerous plays, but McKinnon is such a dangerous hockey player. He is an absolute force out there. I don't. I have no idea how Maurice Rocket Richard played, but I have this idea that maybe it's like that. Like just this got blazing eyes, fierce, nasty hockey player, and really, really good. I can't wait to see him and McDavid and Makar on Team Canada. You know, that should be a real treat. He's a spectacular player, and his
Oh.
dominance in the shots at net category for the Avs
Uh-huh.
is when you look at this team. So Bruce, before today, I'm gonna read some names to you. If someone had told you these are NHL players, would you have known they are NHL players? Because honestly, I wouldn't have. So there's John Ludwig. If someone had said that's I wouldn't know.
I remember
Chris Wag,
Jan Ludwig, but I'm not
yeah,
so
I
sure
remember
about
Jan
John.
Ludwig, Chris Wagner, and I remember an Austin Wagner. But Chris Wagner, if someone said, you know, would you make a bet there's a Chris Wagner in the NHL? I'd think, I don't know. Parker Kelly, Nikolai Kovalenko, Sam Malinsky,
Thanks, kid.
and Nikita Prishchapov. So, Bruce, that's
Yeah.
6 guys I would not have been able. Would you have been able to name any of those as NHLers?
Chris Wagner, yeah, he's played almost 400 games. He's been kicking
Did he
around for
play
a
for
long time, but
Boston?
I couldn't have said he was necessarily who he was playing for at the moment, though.
Yeah, okay.
And they,
Yeah.
they got a lot of guys, like they got a few injuries for sure. And so they got guys filling in, and the depth of their lineup was not as strong as Edmonton's on some of those names that you mentioned. And of course, the famous Ivan, if his name was
Ivan.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
Ivan Ivanov,
Son of
we probably
Ivan.
wouldn't even notice, right? But
No, we wouldn't. You're right. But that's such a it's such a great name. It's
well,
makes me laugh. Good for
not
good
quite
for
the great gymnast, the Chinese gymnast Dong Dong. That was the best one ever. That of course, some of the teenage boys had fun with that, but it was more like boing boing when he was a trampolinist. He wasn't a gymnast. He was boing boing dong dong.
ding dong. Ivan. I think Ivan in Russian is John. I
Yes.
think so his name is John, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, Bruce. Next game is when?
Next game is Tuesday, so 2 days off, and then they play a biggie in Vegas. Showdown of the Pacific
All right.
Division.
All right.
Two, rivals. Let's say that. Arguably, the two teams that might be battling it out for the division crown when push comes to shove. And the Avs have been, the Vegans have been going pretty good until today, and I think they got smoked. It was 4-0 for Utah the last time I looked.
Good. I
So
hate Vegas. They're
yeah,
on my hate list.
yeah, mine
There's
too.
about 5 or 6 NHL teams that I hate, and they're one of them.
Uh-huh.
So there you have it. All right, Bruce.
Yeah, let's see what we
Um,
got.
I'll let you dig into this.
Yeah, it's way over here. Utah 6, Vegas nothing in Vegas. So we are going to get an ornery, cranky, miserable, grumpy Vegas Golden Knights team on Tuesday. So the objective will be making them more of all of those things.
Any chance Hyman's back?
Yes.
There's a
Yeah, they
chance.
said, he came on the road trip, and they said there was a chance. They said originally he wasn't going to play the first 2 games, but maybe by Tuesday. And meantime, Arvidsson just remains out.
The
with
mystery
his,
man. Yeah.
with his maintenance day that's turned into a month.
I hope he's okay. He's a
Yeah.
hell of a hockey player.
Yeah.
All right, Bruce. Any final thoughts, or well, you good? Good to go?
Yeah, I think I'm good to go. Happy tonight with the team's performance. They fully earned those 2 points, and they fully deserved the regulation win. It's nice to get one of those. And it's even nicer to get 2 of them in 2 wins in 2 days. But tonight's was by far the more convincing of the 2.
I'm going to end with a non-hockey recommendation, Bruce.
Okay.
People who listen to this podcast probably have noted that I make fairly constant Lord of the Rings references. It was my favorite book as a kid. I think I read it started, I think in grade 7, I started reading the series. My cousin Michael was a big fan. He had that Middle Earth poster on his wall in his bedroom. Anyway, there's been all kinds of the cinematic adaptation of Lord of the Rings was one of the best adaptations of a book ever done, of books ever done. But there is a on Audible, there is a Andy Serkis, who played Gollum in the Lord of the Rings, he's done a reading of all 3 books.
Right
And
on.
if you are a lover of those books in that series, his reading of this story is fantastic. It is a complete delight. So if you enjoy this series of books in any kind of form, this is definitely for you. It is a treat. So
Well, wonderful books. I remember reading them in grade 11. I was introduced to them by Miss Carmichael, my English 20 teacher, and who much later in life, wound up working with my sister, just the way work goes, or life goes sometimes. But she got us going on the Fellowship of the Ring, and I was through the 3 books and The Hobbit before Christmas, and just loved them.
I usually read them about every 5 years or so. I like to go back to them. It's kind of a comfort reading for me because it's associated with childhood, and one of the first books I fell in love with reading through that book.
Such a rich work of fantasy with all, the whole world and universe being envisioned with the languages, and then the character sets and so on. It was just such a depth, multi-dimensional depth of imagination. It was just a phenomenal achievement.
As long as those, like, the novels are not short, and there's 3 of them, but as long and as they're like the tip of the iceberg on the imaginary world that Tolkien created, with all the languages, all of the history, all of the lore. It's an astonishing work. Bruce, let's leave it there. Thanks for talking tonight.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.